I'm going to now introduce someone before they speak. Teresa Peacock is going to talk to us about the experience of social farming and community mental health services. And Teresa is an occupational therapist, manager working for the HSE in the Sligo Leitrim Mental Health Services. Teresa was on the advisory board and very active with us on the SOFAB cross-border project almost 10 years ago, and has since engaged with the Social Farming Office for specific care plan needs provisions for the Sligo Leitrim Mental Health Services, supported by community mental health teams. So Teresa has been one of those who has been around and involved in supporting social farming for a long time, so we look forward to hear her speak.
Good morning. I'm also another non-farmer, and I guess when I was first asked to join that project, which was with UCD and Queen's in 2008, I had just moved from the city in Dublin to lovely Leitrim and knew nothing about social farming, so there was a lot of quick Googling as to what social farming was, and it's been a wonderful experience. And today I'm going to talk about the two things I love, which is occupational therapy and social farming, and how the two have worked together. So who attends social farming in our service? We cover from the town, so we have people who live in Sligo town and apartments, to people who live in rural, so we cover South Donegal and all of Leitrim as well. A little bit of West Cavan thrown into it. The reason we do short-term projects is people who attend mental health teams don't stay with us forever. They come and go. And so the people who attend are people attending who are adults, older persons, community rehabilitation and recovery. And just this year we started with our 3 residential services. We have about 20 people who are still living in our 24-hour nurse services, and they've begun engaged. So how do the two fit together? Very well, and as you've heard, and the occupational therapists in the audience will know that the two are based on similar ethos. So occupational therapy is a client-centred health profession concerned with promoting health and well-being through occupation. So all the things you've heard about today are promoting through well-being through occupation. And occupational therapists assist people to choose to participate in their chosen daily occupation. So social farming isn't compulsory for anyone. And when I was first involved, I was very much aware that perhaps in the old hospital that would have been in Sligo, there would have been a farm that everyone worked on. So this is very much chosen occupation for people who wish to go. So that's, I guess, where the difference is. So how does occupational therapy work? I lead a team of occupational therapists. I think it's about 18 of them now. So what happens is when you meet an occupational therapist in our service, you go through a very informal interview. It's a standardized process called the OCARES. And in this, we have a conversation with you about your roles, routines, and your skills. From there, we ask you to rate what's important to you in what we call the occupational self-assessment. And from that comes your needs and your goals. So social farming might be it for you, might not be, or it might be an opportunity, but social farming has added to our menu of choices. And once you get an occupational therapist hooked on social farming, it becomes very competitive in the team as to who's getting the funding, who's going out, and they sell it to people. And I have very different interaction when I ring my staff. Just this week rang someone, there was hammering and fencing, there was sheep in the background. It's very different from the normal activities of their life. If people have mentioned during COVID, it was able to keep going. Obviously, we were in our services, we're actually able to keep a lot of our groups going. We learned a lot about COVID that we didn't know, and the same with social farming, you learn as you're going along. So these are some of the things that have worked for people and how we've used social farming. Really different for everyone, because everyone's different. For some people, it's just trying something new. Some people might be quite isolated, they might be in the apartment, they mightn't really meet people. Other people, it's a stepping stone to a new regime. They might think they'd like to work or go into education, but they're not quite sure yet. So it's a new routine. It's perhaps going to bed earlier so you can get up in the morning to organise with the transport, to have breakfast. You know, it's quite cold on some of these farms. You have to get the right clothing. You have to get organised. We went through a lot of that. You have to get yourself ready. We discovered a lot of people hadn't eaten breakfast, kind of the stress of getting there. People hadn't prepared lunch. OT's talked about having spare lunch in the car, and even though, you know, the farmers feed you very well. People build confidence socially, and people might have their own goals on specific skills. It could be a confidence, it could be a concentration, it could be a strength, it could be anything that you're working on. It's getting out into nature and with animals. A lot of people have loved that. It's just so different for people. The mud, the cold, the farmers keep telling us, Andrew will tell you it's great in winter. I'm not sure, I like the warmth a little bit more. What we have brought in is the community off-farm activity as well. It's my real passion about people, you know, social inclusion. So even though the farmers will try and persuade me, I haven't quite yet been to a march. Don't think I'd sound the noise and the sound. We've encouraged that each farmer does an off-farm activity with our participant, and obviously the staff go along. And even though I've talked about occupational therapists, the nurses and social workers are also being converted, but it is mainly in our service led by the occupational therapy team. So the off-farm activities, I'll come to some of them. And just to say, most of the farmers, and I see a few of them here, have other skills. Could be in art, it could be in woodwork, it could be in so many other things, and that has driven the off-farm activity. So as I said, it's a stepping stone group for people. It's trying something new. It's maybe after a period of ill health, could have been in the community or in hospital. You know, any of us know a blow to your health is a blow to your confidence. And for us, it has a beginning and an end with clear goals in the participant form, and these are where the person has chosen the goals they want to work on. It actually works very well for us from a staffing point of view, the 8 weeks plus 1 induction, because you can kind of plan out your year and your timing and your other duties that you have. And so these are kind of the practical matters of the during COVID, the online health and safety training was introduced for us that's for the staff who will be going, by Andrew, and I think, you know, staying online with that works really well. And we've also learned a lot about all those buses I see buzzing around my neighbourhood called Local Link, and rural transport, and that's essential for people, not only to get to the farm, but you get registered and you learn that you can also go shopping and do other things, you know, go to the pub, go for nights out, all these things we can do now again, that it's possible to do that. So some of the kind of social off-farm, I didn't get to all these, so I'm a little bit jealous of the staff who did, but they go fishing. There was fishing again this week. One of my staff took a photo, first fish she'd ever caught. Can be things like kayaking, seaweed harvesting, lunches out, a woodwork activity that a few years ago ended up in being involved in a parade. So lots of other activities other than just the farm. So at the end of that process, the team and with the service user review with the person who went, how it went, and we set some more goals which move on to perhaps other things and try and capture some of the learning of the new options they may have learnt about through social farming. Now to the bit that when you go to your management team and they say, how safe is all this, and how are you going to show us the quality, and should you really be doing this? And aren't farms very dangerous places? So we know that Social Farming Ireland have done the health and safety farm audits for us. The farmers are trained, all our staff have the health and safety training, and everyone going there, whether it be the the participants, their family members, any staff members, anyone else on the team who wants to see it gets the on-site induction to the farm and the safety, and that everyone has that we have social farming protocols in place. What's really good from our point of view is we communicate with Andrew in the office, we liaise what farm blocks we're having, etc., rather than direct or any obstacles or difficulties with the farmer. And if other people, including Deirdre, have mentioned, we obviously look at feedback from people and the outcome measures. And just my final piece, how do we pay for this? I actually think it's quite cheap. You know, if you look at some, other projects or pieces of equipment we buy, it's a small amount of money. Social Farming make the application to the HSC. I'm the lead for this grant aid agreement. To say that it's all paid, there's a lot of paperwork involved in that first bit, but we now do it once a year. We've been doing that about 7 or 8 years now, but it goes through a lot of loops of layers of people's signatures. And then what happens is I ask all the teams via the management team for expressions of interest, who wants to get involved and who will comply with the processes that they need to, having clear goals, filling in the forms, being on site on the farm every week, having a buddy, etc. And then I meet with Helen and Andrew and we plan out the year, we plan out the budget, which includes some budget for Local Link, and we review that and I present that back to the management team so that we get the money the next year. And all I can say is all processes are covered by a brilliant quality assurance. I have no difficulty, speaking to that from the management team, and that's in a very whirlwind how it works for us and continues to work so well for a lot of people. We have, I think this year, because we had some carried over from COVID, we have about 13 or 14 blocks a year. So I'm always saying at my staff meetings, what block are you in, where are you, what farm are you at? And it was lovely to meet Jared, who some of my staff are out, I hadn't met yet, so my goal this year is to get out onto some of the new farms. And I guess social farming will also look for a new farm for you if it isn't quite what you're looking for. There's a lot of farmers involved. So thanks for the opportunity, and happy to talk to you later in the day. Bye-bye.